All right, now we may actually have a juicy, juicy season. We shall see. Hey, what's up and hello? This is the Chris Nicole giving you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. And this is my review on Love During Lockup, Season 4, Episode 51, Jail Talk. I don't know why they actually have it on the website, episode 51, but I guess. So, of course, this is the introduction to all of the couples. So, first we have Jade and Chris, okay? Jade is actually a social media influencer. Interesting. And Chris actually is in jail. He's the inmate, and he went to jail for burglary and identity theft. And so we actually start off seeing Jade in this beautiful home in Florida, okay? It is absolutely beautiful. And she's talking on the phone with him, and literally while she's talking on the phone with him, the mother is like making these faces like she completely is disappointed in this relationship, but she doesn't want to say anything. So we find out that Chris is actually Native American, and his tribe actually is a shareholder, or they're the owners of a casino, and he's a shareholder, and he actually receives $10,000 to $12,000 a month. So we find out that he bought that house, he bought the cars, he pretty much bought everything for Jade, and she actually gets the money every single month because they have a joint account. So, honey, when I heard this, I said, well, damn. Okay, so we finally actually have an inmate who is actually taking care of his woman outside. So I was for it. I was like, okay, this is interesting. So we find out he is or was a meth addict, and he actually has been to jail 7 times before. But this time they said that they were going to give him, I guess, a harsher sentence, and he was sentenced to 32 years. And the man is only 39 years old. So I'm confused on when he went to jail, how long he's been in jail. But yes, they sentenced him to 32 years, but she said he should be out in 2024. So that's interesting. So I would definitely like to know more about that. But they met on a prison pen pal site, and they actually got married 7 months after they met. Okay. And Jade has 2 sisters. As a matter of fact, they are celebrating one of the sisters' birthday parties at Jade's house. And she is really tight with her sisters, and none of them like Chris. And we find out later on that the mother doesn't even like Chris. I mean, she was making those facial expressions, but she does say at the end of the episode that she feels like Chris and Jade are in a toxic relationship, and she begins to cry. So definitely we see that Chris is controlling as hell, okay? He is blowing up her phone, honey, left and right. And when she answers the phone, she's trying to tell him, look, I'm trying to have a good time. He's like, why you're not answering? And so she pretty much hangs up on him as if she has control of the situation, like she runs that relationship. But then he starts blowing up her phone again. And then when she doesn't answer, he literally blows up the sisters' phones, her friends' phones. He's calling everyone. And I'm trying to figure out, why does he have all of their numbers? Like, why? I can understand maybe having her mother's, number, maybe one or both of the sisters, maybe, but literally her friends' numbers, her sisters' numbers, like that's a little creepy. So he's calling everyone at this point. And then we literally see one of the sisters, well, both of the sisters actually in the backyard talking about the relationship. And they pretty much say, if it wasn't for that money, Jade would not be there. Point blank, period. So I'm curious to see where this is going to go. He does mention later on in the episode that he pretty much doesn't have a great relationship from what he has seen when it comes to women, because his mother, I guess, was apparently used by men, and at the same time his mother used men. So for him, he's like, look, I've seen women as shady, so I'm a little insecure with that. Jade, honey, I don't know if that money is worth it, but we shall see. So moving on, we have Leticia, who is a business owner, and Keith, who is actually the inmate, and he is in there for drug distribution. Now, Leticia actually is a single mother, and she owns a tax accounting business, and it appears that everyone that she employs, they're all Black women. And mind you, they live in Iowa. So I was like, oh, that's pretty dope. Like, great. Love it. Love the women empowerment. This is great. So she says that she met Keith through a mutual friend. And Keith explains that his cousin, he was incarcerated or locked up with his cousin, and he had a friend. And so that's how he met Leticia, through his cousin's boo thing. That's how they met. So she says that she has been looking for love her entire life. Mind you, she has 2 beautiful children. She said most of the guys that she's been with, or all of the guys she's been with, have been complete assholes. And honey, she said she gets completely crazy when she sees funks in a man's mouth. And what I mean by funks in a man's mouth, I'm talking about gold teeth. She says she is in love, and she said it is a panty dropper when she sees gold teeth, honey. For some reason, Leticia, like, straight up reminds me of a Black Peg Bundy. For some reason, I can't unsee it. I'm sorry, but she just gave me the Peg Bundy vibes. Don't ask me why, but I'm just saying that's what she gives me. Here's the problem with Leticia. Right now, I don't feel her storyline is authentic. That meeting that she had with her quote unquote team, saying that now they're going to have another boss, which is going to be her husband who is incarcerated. That whole scene did not seem real to me. Then she had the audacity to say, well, he's going to be bringing clientele. You know, we can actually do the taxes for the inmates. And I'm sorry, maybe I'm naive, but I didn't know that people in jail, inmates, can actually file taxes. What are they actually filing taxes on? Then she mentioned they work and they make 17 cents here or 20 cents here. They're not making enough money to file taxes. So y'all let me know if that's actually true. Can inmates actually file taxes? Because that just doesn't make any sense to me, which is another reason why I was like, okay, this storyline just seems completely fake. So it almost looked like everyone in that damn room was trying to hold their laughter. It just didn't seem real. And then literally later on, they all go out to dinner and have drinks, and they're talking, and one of her employees says to another employee, does Leticia know about y'all? And apparently we find out that one of Leticia's employees used to talk to Keith. Yeah, again, still doesn't, it's not real. In my opinion, it just doesn't feel real. It feels like they are creating a storyline to have some drama. It doesn't feel real to me, but y'all let me know what y'all think, because again, it just seemed like bad acting one-on-one. But with that being said, she married him, of course, immediately. She said that she was on the phone with him, I think, going into a Walgreens, and he proposed, and she said yes. So, honey, she is in love. So, we'll definitely see about that. So, next we have Ranika. and she is actually an entrepreneur, and she is in love with Asante, or is it Asante? Asante? I think it's Asante. So she actually has an eyelash business. And she has several eyelash vending machines. And honey, I ain't never seen an eyelash vending machine before. Hell, I guess you could sell anything in a vending machine at this point. What's her name? Latrice from Bell Collective sells her hair in vending machines. I guess that's just like a big thing now. So she says she actually makes pretty good money, about $20,000 a year on each machine. And she says she has about 5 of them. And she's also a rapper. Okay, she is a single mother, and she's in love with this Asante, who is in jail for robbery and grand theft auto. So Ranika, however, is taking care of Asante while he's in prison. She's pretty much giving him money monthly. And so she goes to a beauty salon to refill one of her vending machines, and she tells her friend, or I guess the owner of the salon, that she is moving to Atlanta permanently for her man, taking her kids and everything and moving to Atlanta. And so her friend is pretty much trying to tell her she's crazy. And of course, she's not listening. And, she's like, I'm in love with him. We ain't never had, sex before, but it's just so perfect, blah, 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 blah. So then we find out that her father, who was also incarcerated, he was incarcerated for about 17, 18 years. And he left and went to jail when Ranika was 8 years old. And for the first time during dinner, she tells her father about Asante and how she is moving to Atlanta to be with him. And of course, he's disappointed, and he's like, look, I'm trying to get back on track with my children and with my grandkids. And now you talking about leaving here and you going with a inmate or an ex-con or whatever. And, Ranika's like, well, you was an inmate. So there's clearly some tension there between her and her father. And she does admit that there is some bitterness towards her father leaving. And so she pretty much, in my opinion, because she couldn't save her father, I think she's trying to save Asante in some kind of way. But, her father is like, look, I've been there. These guys will sell you a dream. I just really hope you know what you're doing. And she mentions that Asante will be home in a couple of days. And my thing is this. If he was going to be home in a couple of days, you wouldn't be on Love during Lockup. You would be on Love after Lockup. So that tells me clearly, and based off of the previews, he got another charge and he has to stay in jail longer. So, oh my gosh, the fact that she literally took her whole life from Kentucky to Atlanta to find out that he's not getting out of jail, child, this is about to be a mess. So we're going to definitely see about that. And so speaking of trying to save someone, next we have Andy and Brittany. Andy is a former police officer, and Brittany is in jail for drug possession. Okay? Andy truly seems like a very sweet, likable guy, but damn very gullible. And so we find out that his ex-wife had an addiction problem, and he had to take full custody of his kids. And because he had to be a full-time dad, he had to stop working in law enforcement and take another career in transportation to make sure that he was there for his kids. So he meets with his friend JR, who I guess they met while they were both police officers. And you can tell his friend JR thinks he's a complete fool. And, he's worried about Andy. And I don't blame him. And to me, Andy wants to be super save a drug addict. He wants to be that super saver addict. And in my opinion, because he didn't save his ex-wife, he wants to try to save and protect Brittany. My opinion on that. So JR says, well, have you done a background check on her? And Andy says, no, I haven't, which is shocking because of his former law background. But for me, in my personal opinion, that means that he's so head over heels for Brittany that he doesn't really care what's in that background check. But of course, his friend who's still in law enforcement decides to check anyways. So what do we find out? We find out that she had 25 cohabitants. And I'm going to say it just like they said it, cohabitants. And so that pretty much means that she has lived with 25 different people. Okay. Which, damn, that's a lot of damn people to live with. So 25 different people she is affiliated with, as in living with them. And of course, there's plenty of men on there. And they find out that a lot of these residences are in multiple states. And Andy says, well, from my understanding, she's never lived out of the state. Andy, poor Andy. Hell, even his son clowns him about being with an inmate. And he just doesn't care. And the sad thing is, he really does seem like a good guy. I really hope Brittany doesn't hurt him, but child, haven't we seen this so many times before? So next we have another Brittany, and we have Karak. I think that's how you say his name, Karak. Karak is a trans man, which I love because we never really see trans men on reality shows or just, scripted shows, period. And so he actually transitioned while in prison like 18 months ago and is taking his testosterone, excuse me, I can't speak right now, his shots in prison, but they're still making him stay in a woman's facility. And so they met while they were in jail. Both of them were locked up. Both of them were locked up for robbery. Brittany, it was armed robbery, and they said with Karak, it was just, I guess, regular robbery, I guess. So I guess they're trying to be the Bonnie and Clyde of Virginia, I suppose. So Brittany is out, and she's actually in cosmetology school. And, they show her while she's in school, and she starts telling her business to her cosmetology instructor. And she explains that she was with this guy, and he wanted her to set up a robbery for him. And like a dummy, she set it up. And because of that, she was sent to a maximum facility, and I think she served 3 years. And the instructor just randomly says, you was in a maximum facility and you did armed robbery? Like, you too pretty. Like, she was trying to imply she was too pretty for that. And I'm like, child, pretty don't have shit to do with it, but okay. So she says Karak motivated her to get her stuff together. And of course, we have definitely heard this story before. Oh yes, my man motivated me to get my stuff together, so I'm gonna be in love with him for the rest of my damn life. And so the instructor, of course, is telling Brittany to be cautious, and that of course everybody says all of the good stuff while they're in prison because they don't have nothing else to do. And the thing is, Karak gave her a promise ring. And honey, we saw the video of Karak giving the promise ring. Of course, Karak is on like the FaceTime. And Brittany cries, honey, like it was the real proposal, child. She boo-hooed, and I was like, damn, like this is just a promise ring. What are you going to do with an actual like engagement? But then she tells us that he gets his money from his sugar mamas. So while he is in jail, he is getting money from women outside, these sugar mamas that just give him money. And the instructor's like, you don't feel a certain way about that? And she's like, no. I mean, at the end of the day, he's getting money from these sugar mamas to take care of me. So it is what it is. Okay, so the instructor's like, you not worried about him talking to these women still? And she just doesn't care. As long as she's taken care of, she don't care. Her mentality is, use them up to take care of me. I don't give a shit. But here's the problem, Brittany. What the hell makes you think he won't do the same to you? Child, again, haven't we heard this before? Oh my gosh, to be young and dumb. But anywho, that's who we've met so far in this episode. I think it's going to be a pretty good season. I think it's going to be juicy. What do you guys think about this episode? And what do you think this season is going to bring? I'm kind of excited for it. So anywho, like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on my next video. Toodles.